Let's roll. All right, here we go. All right. Hey, hello. It is the Go Birds podcast presented by the Bet Park Sportsbook and Casino app as we pick up the pieces after the Eagles start the season. Oh, wait, they won!
1-0, correct.
They won. I didn't know, being around this city the last 2 days, that they actually won
There's
their
been
first
so
game,
many
Elliot.
times this week where I've accidentally almost said loss.
Dude, so you know where I was at, and honestly, you too, for the most part.
Yeah, my initial reaction, yeah.
I think our post-game pod actually sounded very different than what I heard on the radio and other places the next day. I'm still where I was at. I think a lot of people have gotten a lot more nervous and all that. Like, I still feel exactly how I felt on Sunday. I feel like I'm not concerned after that loss. Now, if you want to talk about injuries and stuff, we'll get into that. That's a whole separate thing, and we can discuss injuries, and we will. But in terms of, like, how I feel about the football team, you know, a few days later, and again, we'll get in the Minnesota preview. We'll talk about all the injuries and all that. But just to kind of get to the feeling in this city, again, a 1-0 football team, I feel exactly the same as I did on Sunday night. Where you at?
So I actually think it worked out perfectly doing the post-game pod, because I do think the ultimate main takeaway in a lot of ways is they won the game. Like, that is the takeaway. That they won. The Bengals did not win. The Chiefs did not win. The Bills did not win. So they are 1-0. Those other teams are not. But I also think once you kind of say that, yes, they won the game and it's impressive they pulled it off and all those things, I would say the main thing that's changed, in my opinion, since we did our post-game pod is the offensive line. Like, rewatching the game, they did play really poorly. And you know from doing this pod with me and, you know, talking with me, like, head coach, quarterback, offensive line, defensive line, that's what really matters to me. And the offensive line, the tackles were really bad. And I think Lane, you can bank on, you know, recovering and playing well moving forward. Yeah. My lot, I don't know. And if they have a bad left tackle or an average left tackle, that's a difference maker on the offensive line. And again, rewatching it, like, I mean, the offense was not impressive. There's no getting around that. 1 touchdown in 11 drives. That's not what this Eagles offense should be doing. I don't care who they're playing. I don't care what scheme they're running, who their coordinator is. They have too much talent to only get 1 touchdown in 11 drives. As for the fan reaction, and I know you're not saying this, I think we're aligned on this. Like, fans are always just going to feel how they feel. And I understand. I know. And there's no question it was not an enjoyable game to watch. No. Like, for all the excitement of them coming back, it was fun. It was a buzzkill.
And then it was a buzzkill the rest of
Exactly. Now, one thing I've been thinking of, and I'm curious for your opinion on this as the resident Phillies expert at the station. So when the Phillies started 0-5, it's just 5 games.
Well, I think it was 1-4, and then they went 1-5.
Okay,
I could be wrong though. I think they were 0-4, won their 5th game, and then lost their 6th.
So
I could be wrong.
1-5, regardless.
They started 1-5 for sure.
Right.
I'm sure of that.
When they started 1-5, there was a lot of, you know, the same conversation we're having now, in a much, much smaller sample size too, for what it's worth, right? Like, it was not 1/17.
They lost 5 of their first 6
exactly.
games.
So it was the
Eagles
same.
Won their game. Yeah.
It was the same emotional feeling, I think. And you're right, the Eagles won.
But
it was the same emotional feeling, I think, of when the Phillies came back. It was like, let's go. Like, we were all so excited from, like, Red October, the run of the World Series. Baseball's back. This season's going to be so exciting coming off last year. And then it's immediate kind of punch in the gut. So the Eagles won. Again, doesn't feel like it, but they did. They were 1-0. But I'm curious from your perspective. I think with the Phillies, when they were 1-5, it's early. Don't worry about it. The team's fine. They ended up not winning the division, and they are fighting for a wild card. Fighting is strong. Fighting is strong. They're going to make the team.
Almost definitely going to be the number 4 seed.
Right.
They have the tiebreaker on the Cubs. Like, I'm not at all concerned about the Phillies if that's
No. What I was saying is, like, they started off slow, and I think then
it set them back. But the Eagles,
yeah.
Again, here is the thing. One football game.
I know.
Again, without a preseason, without pushing hard. I think Sirianni's realizing, he even said it. I think he didn't push him hard enough this training camp session. All that stuff. Like, and also, I do have one change from what I said on Sunday. I think the Patriots might not suck.
I agree. Their defense is good.
I think their defensive front is very good. Like,
yeah, I agree with that.
We'll end the season and say, that was one of the 5 or so best defensive fronts in football.
I agree.
And, I mean, Jason Kelsey, when he came on the morning show this week, he was gushing about that team. He's like, a lot of people don't think they're good. He's like, that's a good football team.
Yeah, I don't think their offense is, but I agree about their defense.
But I think their offense is better than we think. I think the thing that obscured us, and we talked about it going in, but like Matt Patricia was their offensive coordinator last year, and Joe Judge, they have Bill O'Brien. You talked about it going into the game. Like, it mattered. It mattered. They were way better offensively than I think that people expected, and I think they're going to be better this season. Like, I think the Patriots might be a playoff team. Like, especially with seeing how the
so that one game really changed your mind.
That and watching the Bills and the Jets and all. I'm saying the AFC East has
the
changed
Jets,
completely.
Unfortunately.
Especially because the Dolphins look like the best team and the Tua thing never changed. Like, that's still, who knows, So, I think the Patriots, I think it's a similar thing to last year where everyone freaked out because the Lions came back against them and made it a close game and they almost lost it. And it's like, by the end of the season, we're like, the Lions they're not great, but they're one of the, at the end of the season, 12 best teams in football, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think we're going to end up looking at the Patriots similarly when it comes around, assuming injuries don't suffer in the season or whatever.
I agree with most of what you're saying. I don't believe in Mac Jones, which makes it hard for me to believe in the team.
So I don't believe in him big time, but I believe in him as like, a guy who will be 12 to 16 in the NFL type. I think he can be that. Not yet, but I'm saying I think Mac Jones can be a competent NFL quarterback.
I think to me his ceiling is 16. But regardless, I agree with you, and this is where some of my concerns with the game, which is just like their defense is good, and they have good. They have Bill Belichick, who's a great defensive coordinator.
Which, by the way, also was A.J. Brown after the game said Belichick was throwing things we weren't ready for. We didn't see it, and I think we keep like kind of shirking past that. Like that matters. That matters in terms of it matters from a coaching perspective, but it also matters in terms of why the offense looked the way it did.
So I just I've been on with Gilio this week, and today we talked about. Did Bill Belichick figure the Eagles out? My concern from this game is not that, oh my God, what if Jalen's not as good as we think? Oh my God, what if Sirianni can't figure it out? What if this team my only real concern from the game is the offensive line. That's it.
Okay.
That's my only thing where I leave that game and go, yikes, this might be something to be concerned about. And
here's what I'll say, and I think it's a fair thing to say from a pass blocking perspective.
Yeah.
They weren't able to get the run game going at all. They'll be better at pass blocking when they can run the ball. The team's not pinning their ears back and going and all that type of stuff. I also, Kelsey talked about another thing, and he stopped himself. He started to talk about it with us on the morning show, and then I was like, I don't want to go into scheme. He's like, but we were running things different. He's like, basically said they were not running a lot of read option stuff. They were running a lot of power stuff. They were not like running their normal offense. They thought they saw stuff with the Patriots that they could do that was different from how they go about their normal business.
Yeah, like I don't think the Eagles have been figured out.
I don't either.
If that's a concern, is like now I do think they're going to have a counter punch.
Of course.
And also,
look, they also have to run their offense the way it's successful.
Right. And this is a good podcast thing as opposed to getting too deep into the radio, but like every team gets figured out. Like every scheme. There is no scheme in the NFL that has lasted 50 years where you can run that exact group.
That's why things always change.
Yes. So I think sometimes when you say like the Eagles have been figured out, it has a negative connotation. What it really just means is they ran an offense that people could not stop, and then the entire brain trust of the league has figured out a way to counter it. We all knew going into the season the Eagles were going to need to figure something else out. You can't do the exact same thing every year. People figure it out. So even if we were sitting here and saying, man, they really showed how to stop like this play the Eagles are really good at, that's going to happen as long as the Eagles, Jalen and Nick Sirianni together, and they're the duo. But I haven't lost confidence that they cannot have a counterpunch. And again, to keep like my concern is the offensive line, because I don't care who your quarterback is, your head coach, your scheme, whatever. Your offensive line.
Your concern is Mailata, because
the
interior played well.
Like my concern is Mailata. Now Lane did not play well, but
no, I'm saying but you're not concerned about Lane. My point is like the interior played really well. Like Richie talked about it. Ross
I thought Cam was good. Yeah,
Cam
Landon was really good.
All three, apparently. At least again, we're not offensive line experts, but
they all graded out well.
All the experts think the interior of the offensive line had a really good game, and it looked like that to the eyes.
Right.
So, and you're not worried about Lane Johnson, so it comes down to Mailata.
It's Mailata. Now there was communication issues. Kelsey talked about that on your show.
And then you're on the road week one. You didn't have a preseason. Yep. That line has literally never played together.
Right. Yep.
So
no, I agree. And we said it on the post-game pod, the week one's about figuring out what might be potential issues, not what are definite, this is going to be a problem all year. What are some things that in 5 weeks maybe we're going to be talking about? And I feel even stronger than the post-game pod that I think the offense, and it is Mailata. You're right.
It's Mailata. You're
it's
concerned.
Mailata.
You would say it.
Yeah. No, it is.
And I think that's fair. Right. I think he's a great run blocker, and I think that we didn't.
He got pushed a lot.
He got pushed
in pass protection.
And look, maybe part of that is the firing out and not setting a wall right away. And we had a caller bring that up this week, and I thought it was a really interesting point. He's like, the way the Eagles, maybe it's part of the reason they struggled a bit last year with it too, is if they're always firing out for an RPO, it's harder to just get back and set up a wall. And I thought that was a really interesting.
Well, Kelsey's saying the thing about them not running as much RPO is really interesting.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah.
So, and again, you'll hear me say this for the next month, and then I'll stop. But I'm going to say it for a month, because I say it every year for a month, and every year I'm like, Elliot, don't let me forget to say this next year, that I think the first month of the season is like preseason light. Like it is like not fully preseason, but I think there are things you can look for. And again, injuries are injuries, and those are always going to play a role on how the season plays out. But outside of injuries, I'm not going to overreact to anything that happens in the first month of the season.
I think that there's a lot of logic in that, and I agree with it. But I also think that
the Bengals started the season 0-2 last year and almost made the Super Bowl. Like this happens every year.
But it mattered that they started 0-2 because then the game wasn't in Cincinnati.
Right, and the Eagles won. The Eagles won a game in this period where they might not be firing on all cylinders.
Right. But I do think, like, we talk about momentum. 2017 team started 1-1, I think, right?
Yeah,
and then
2-1. Almost lost,
so they win that game.
Again, like that's part of it. You might not start the season firing on all cylinders. You're going to get there is the idea.
Yes, but I do think that this team within the first month needs to show special qualities. Like there has to be moments in this first month where we sit there and go, this looks like a Super Bowl team, or like this win is something that can catapult them. I don't think they're going to go 2-2 or like 1-3. And they probably more than likely will go 4-0. But I do think that like the first month of the season, while it's not who you are, I think it can be a good jumping off point for who you become. And last year, the Eagles pretty quickly, we could see it. Like,
I agree.
Week 1 in Detroit was not, people were upset because of how the defense was and whatever. But you saw Jalen was awesome. The AJ was awesome. They scored a ton of points. Week 2, Minnesota, like Jalen's coming out party, right? He does the Jordan, which we can do because we're on video. He does like the Jordan thing, or I guess that's not Jordan, but he does this. And he has a long thing to quit. Yeah, that's right. But I think he has the long pass to Quez. He has the great run. Like you saw things like they felt special right off the bat. And I think that while you can for sure be the Bengals and be 0-2 and still have a successful year,
but hold up.
I do think you become special early in the year.
I sometimes, and I think sometimes people become special over the middle of the year. I think sometimes teams get special at the end of the year. That Giants 9-7 team that beat the undefeated Patriots weren't special till the end of the year.
Right, but that's not a recipe for success.
I'm not saying it is, but we're talking about an Eagles team that roster-wise we know is ready for the Super Bowl. Like, forget everything else. Roster-wise, we know they're talented enough to make the Super Bowl. We know the quarterback is talented enough to make the Super Bowl. We know the coach is talented enough to make the Super Bowl.
Agreed.
So, like, this is not something where we're like, are they a team that can make the Super Bowl? We know they can. And I need to see them put it together, obviously, but I don't think that, and look, you want to see it, but again, even then, the 2017 Eagles weren't special with the Jake Elliott field goal moment was special, but they were not a special football team. That Chargers game week 4, they started to look at the fourth quarter running the ball, and we're like, oh, look at that. That's cool. And then they became a special team. Right. After the first month of the season, Elliot, I'm just saying, like, I'm not going to overreact until we're over a month into the season, but I get you want to see it.
Yeah, I want to see it.
I just don't think that, and look, I don't think they're going to look bad. Like, if they look horrible over the next month, that's a different discussion.
Yeah, I think Thursday night's
look solid and good, but maybe not where we need them to be. I'm not going to say they can't be where they need to be come the end of the season because that's when teams really put it together.
Well, and that's why where the win matters because
that's why the win matters.
The Bengals thing, to your point, they did not play well earlier in the year, and then they improved as it went on.
And they lost.
But what mattered is because they lost, the game was in Kansas City.
Totally.
That game's in Cincinnati. Who knows what happens? So from that perspective, it's good. I just, like, you watch Dallas, you watch the Niners, and I would not put them ahead of the Eagles yet. I will maintain Eagles number 1 on my NFC power rankings. But there's no denying, like, they looked impressive. And I think, like, that helps build confidence, and it matters. So
I do think confidence matters.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think getting off the hot starts helps teams build confidence.
And especially in a year, which I think is going to be tough. Again, picked them to win the Super Bowl begrudgingly. You're the Super Bowl guy. I did pick them to do it, but I think it's going to be a tough year. And I think Sunday showed that. Like, it's a win. They do what they did. Jalen and Nick, 21-4 in their last 25 games. Like,
pretty good.
They just win. But it did feel like a slog. Like it did. It felt like,
that's going to happen.
It is.
I mean,
but
look,
I just don't want it every week. Like I need to. Yeah.
I know that, but again, it was the first game of the season. It's because it's
also the only
one.
Game.
And I think you've made first only. We're not talking about any other.
Well, I think I was thinking about this earlier. I think in my head what the distinction is. I'm curious if you agree. I think like one game implies like. It was one game where like maybe they were impressive before. Only it's like the only chance we've had to see this team.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, but it is
that's the only thing I'm saying.
I get your point. I think they're both accurate.
First, you're right about that.
Yeah, only is even more correct.
Yeah.
So regardless, point being that we've only had one chance to see him, and I think you've made a great point on the radio, on this pod throughout the last couple of weeks, especially after the game, is coming in. We expected to see this well-oiled machine that ended the season.
Right.
And that was not a fair expectation, especially with no preseason, especially with new guys in the lineup and all that type of stuff. With 2 new coordinators, like, it's going to take time for this team to find their rhythm.
You know what I've been surprised by? Like, a lot of fans don't feel how we feel.
I know.
Like,
I'm on the radio. I know.
Like, I thought if, inside baseball here.
Yes.
Oh, like,
we're on the regular season go, buddy.
Look, none of us just say things on the radio for reaction, but I think we do know before we say it what we think the reaction will be. Mm-hmm. I thought if I came out and was like, this was really worrisome, like this could be a red flag, that it would be like a massive pushback. And it really wasn't. Like, I would say it was maybe 60-40 of positive, but I think there were a lot of Eagles fans.
I think that's a fair split.
I think a lot of Eagles fans saw that, and I understand why emotionally to watch that. But I think a lot of Eagles fans saw that and were like, ooh. Like, that was not what we were hoping for.
I agree.
Yeah.
It wasn't what I was hoping for. But again, I do think that we have to step back and remember that it's the only game we've seen this season. And again, there are a lot of mitigating factors, whether it's the lack of preseason, whether it's new coordinators, whether it's new people in the lineup, whether it's the weather in New England, which apparently was pretty bad, especially early game, is what Kelsey said.
I had some callers call in and say that it was tough. What's funny is they actually played better when it was raining.
In the first quarter,
at least they went up 16-0. I mean, the passing game was better as the game went on, and there wasn't rain. But they did build their lead when it was torrential.
And again, look, I think, and let's turn turn our attention to the Viking game. But I do think that I don't think it's fair to expect to see a great version of the Eagles on a Thursday night after playing Sunday at 4 o'clock. Like, I expect them to win the football game. We'll get into where we're at with that. But again, I'm preaching people to give this team time. Is what I'm saying. Like, and yes, winning games is important, and I'm not going to minimize if they lose, but I just want to, like, the team we see on Thursday night is going to be nothing close to the team we see this season. They played a tough physical football game on Sunday on the road, and they're coming home and playing a game on Thursday night. Like, it's going to look sloppy again. Like, they're going to be somewhat ugly. Like, it's a Thursday night football game, which is always ugly.
I love style points. Mm-hmm. Thursday's a bit more of a style point game for me than it sounds like it is for you.
It's not.
Like, I didn't think the Patriots...
Again, the first month of the season, I love 0 style point games.
That's fair. I would like to see them play well.
Of course.
No. I'm not saying from, like, an emotional perspective. I'm saying as, like, my analysis of the team, I would like to see the offense play well on Thursday. I think I get your point about gelling in the first month and all that, but, like, San Francisco was awesome. Dallas was awesome. They are dealing with similar things that the Eagles are dealing with, right? New play caller for Dallas, and then San Francisco, you have a lot of the same personnel. So I agree with you that the first month is probably not who they're going to be, but it was who the first month last year, who they were. And I think it's important for the team, and I think it's important to believe that, like, I need to see the offense play well. Like, they are a great offensive team. They should be. They have a great quarterback. They have great receivers. But again, not emotionally. I think, like, if they come out on Thursday night and that offensive line struggles again and they score 24 points, like, that's going to be very concerning to me. Yeah, so there is a bit of style points
again,
for me.
Like, dude, we just saw Joe Burrow put up 3 points. Do you think the Bengals season is over? Are you concerned about
No, but I certainly want to see the Bengals play well in this next game.
But again, we literally, and I know with the 1 seed. The 1 seed is a separate discussion, but just in terms of the football team that we will see in the playoffs, like, the Bengals started the season 0-2 last year and almost got the 1 seed, and again, like, had 3 chances to beat Mahomes and Arrowhead. They didn't do it, but they should have won that football game. They didn't. But they were in position to win that football game to go to the Super Bowl. Like, but I'm just saying they started 0-2 last year.
If we're a Bengals pod and these say go Bengals, I guess, or go Tigers, I don't know what the other, whatever.
Go Cats.
Go Cats. Yes, go Cats. And there's orange around here. I think we're sitting here and going, yeah, I don't want to see him throw for 82 yards again. But that's what I'm saying.
No, but I understand your point. I understand it, but I'm saying we have to step back and we have to have perspective on this. I agree. I'll be frustrated when we do post-game pod if their offense looks earmuffs, 1, 2, 3. If it looks shitty against the Vikings, like, I'm going to be frustrated. I'm going to be annoyed. Right. Like, I get it. But I'm not going to indict the season because of it. I'm not going to say that this is a problem that is going to persist.
I'm not going to indict the season, but if
I'm going to give them a month to play themselves into action.
I'm just saying, I don't feel worse about the team after that one game. If they also play poorly on Thursday, I am going to feel worse about the team. Okay. I get your point about indicting it. I'm not saying the season's over.
Like, again, I'm not going to be happy, but I'm not going to.
It's not going to change. Yeah.
Again, they went 1-1 and won the Super Bowl. They should have gone 1-2, and they won the Super Bowl.
I know.
Like, they were a mediocre. We were talking. Jim Schwartz was calling for Doug Peterson's job. right before they went on a run to win the freaking Super Bowl. Like
I'm not saying they can't win it.
We see this every year with teams. Like I get your point. I just think we have to be smart about this. We have to have some perspective. We can't overreact.
I agree. It's about perspective and everything. I'm just letting you know.
You're just saying how you feel.
Yeah, I would like to.
And I'm not going to tell you
I
how
need
you
to
feel.
see this team play well.
I'm just saying that it does feel a little emotional. Then, if you're talking about how you feel about it.
Well, it's maybe overreactionary. But like emotionally, yes, of course. Like it'd be awesome if on Thursday night they dominated and the Lynx popping and everyone's happy. Like yeah, of course. But I just think like from a perspective of, I need to start seeing at some point the product that this team is. Right. And you're agreeing. You're saying week 2 is too early.
Week 5.
Yep. That's
I'll
fine.
be like, all right, let's go, boys. Time to go.
Yeah.
And again, they might be 4-0 at that point. We might.
They
have
probably will
seen
be.
It.
Yeah.
I get your point. I understand where you're coming from. And obviously, I want that. I am just. And again, look, there's a difference between not playing their best football, winning a game, or playing a tight game or whatever, and looking like crap. Like there are different discussions that are had with those things. But if the offense looks similar, like maybe it's slightly better than the New England game, and they win against the Vikings,
let me put it this way.
I'll be fine.
Let me put it this way. I think Thursday night to me is more about how they play than the final result.
No, it's wins. Stack wins. Dude, you're going against what you said last year. It's about stacking wins.
It is about stacking wins. But
it's about when the Eagles right now, in my opinion, and again, injuries can change this, are not close to the best version of the football team that we will see this season. Like, win games while you're not the best version of yourself.
But I'm curious in how you feel about that Dallas and San Francisco already look like a great version of themselves. I'm just curious how you, like... So
there's so many different factors. I mean, like, for starters, like, matchups. Probably a better matchup for each of those teams than the Patriots were for the Eagles. Certainly a possibility, at least, or whatever. Like,
yeah, the Steelers are a tough matchup, but I think the Giants definitely blow.
We might have been wrong.
We could have been wrong, for sure.
After watching, I think the Steelers might not be good. Hand up on that one.
Agreed. But I think prior to the week, we all would have said the Patriots are probably the easiest opponent.
But again, I know, but I think we might have been wrong about the Patriots after hearing, like, maybe. And again, I think that front seven's like damn good.
I agree
on the Patriots. So, but again, look, who knows? I'm nervous about the Steelers.
Yeah.
But again, I agree with you. Look, I'm not out on the Steelers either. It was 1 week and it was a bad game. Like, I think the Steelers could win this week, and they got a tough matchup.
Yeah, I think the 40-0 Dallas win is like the Dallas.
I think
Dallas is good for sure, but the Giants, that was more about to me the Giants suck.
And not just that, about like Dallas, I said on the pregame pod, it was my mistake for not just following it. But they've won, now it's like 12 of 13 against the Giants? Like there are certain franchises you just own, and there are certain franchises when you walk in their stadium, they're like, crap, we're getting our ass kicked tonight.
Yep,
like mentally.
Certainly what happened.
Yes. And look, let's be honest, it's not like Dak looked good, which is a big part of what we talked about.
Well, it is
the
crazy.
Defense was amazing. Their defense was amazing against Daniel Jones.
It is crazy they scored 40 points, and Dak didn't throw a touchdown, and CD didn't catch one.
Yeah.
It's hard to do. 40 points without your quarterback and your number one receiver.
It's hard.
Getting any fantasy points.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Well,
big time fantasy points. Yeah.
Right.
So, and look, I get it. Like, I understand why Eagles fans are frustrated when they see those two teams and the Eagles look like they did. It's just week 1. I can't overreact to it. That's where I'm at. Like, I'm just not as concerned as other people. I mean, as it seems other people are.
Yeah, you're not. I agree.
Yeah.
And we'll find out. If I was making my prediction today, I would still pick the Eagles to come out of the NFC. And if I had to make, as I said, I think if they get there, they're not going to lose the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So my prediction has not changed. I don't feel worse about them. I need to see something.
I get it. You've been waiting all off season.
Yeah. It's time to, Thursday night. It's time. I need to see the offense play well.
I want to see it on Thursday night. I'm just letting you know I'm not going to indict. Like, I'm just not going to come on and be like season, unless there are injuries, which change things.
Right.
I'm not going to come on and be like, well, that's a bad football team I see there. Like, I'm just not going to
No, I don't think any.
This team's not winning the Super Bowl. Like, I will never say that this early in the season.
I don't think anybody will. But I do think we can start to shape our opinion of this team. Like you're saying you're not going to change your opinion of this team, barring, they lose the next game is like 35-0 each week.
There's certain things. Like, I'm definitely, with the injuries, concerned about the back end of the defense. Like, there are things that I can point to. I don't think they're... And again, like, I don't think that this is the best version the Eagles will see this season. So, yeah, there are things that I'm concerned about, but I'm just not, again, I'm not going to take the performance from week 1 and say, look, and they might be. Again, a lot of them might be a problem in pass pro, but I'm not going to look at this and say, that's going to be a real issue because I don't know yet.
It'll be interesting to see what version of the team we do get on Thursday.
Yeah.
Because, weather's going to be good, home field advantage, home opener. A Vikings team, which we'll get into, that I think does present some problems, but certainly not. It's not Dallas or San Francisco.
That's good. Let's get into it real quick. Download the BetParks Sportsbook Casino app. If you missed week 1, you missed us losing our first parlay, which is what we do here.
Well, look, We got too aggressive with it.
We got too aggressive.
There's no other way to get around it.
Knew it in the moment.
There's no other way to get around it.
Some good calls in there. Some real bad calls in there. Also, I mean, who the hell saw LA beating Seattle by 20
That was
points,
absurd.
17 points
The Vikings, obviously.
Which we'll get to.
We'll get to.
Yeah.
That was
told you.
absurd.
Remember, I was like, man, watch out for the Bucs. Could be all right.
Yeah. I don't think the Bucs are good.
I don't
but
you know what, though? I think they can win that division. That division is not good.
I don't think they can win that division.
I think New Orleans probably the best team in that division, but I don't know. It's an ugly
I think
division.
it's New Orleans and Atlanta, in my opinion.
Dude, Desmond Ritter's bad.
He is bad, but
like he's bad.
Probably the second best quarterback right now. I mean, well, Bryce Young, maybe not. I take that back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Baker was better than both of them in week 1 for what it's worth. Guys played a lot of NFL games. Look, I'm just saying the beautiful thing is
I won't be betting on the Bucs.
The beautiful thing is you can bet on all this stuff if you want to. Just download the BetParx Sportsbook and Casino app. There's so many awesome ways to bet on games. We're going to go through every game on the slate, the week 2 slate tomorrow. We're going to pick our parlay, which we will promise we'll be less aggressive with. So you can bet on it on the site.
We're making this commitment.
We're making
no more than 3 teams.
No more. We're going to make this serious. We're going to freaking win some money. You can win some money too, and there's so many other ways to win. You can bet on individual player performances. You can do parlays, teasers, and so much more. And here's a great deal for you. If you sign up now, new users, you make a $10 winning bet. You get $125 in sportsbook bonus back. It is a great bet. Winning bets, $10 winning bet, $125 in sports bonus back. Again, it is a great deal. You can find out more about it at betparx.com. You must be 21 and present in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Ohio, or Maryland. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
So I had a moment with a window this morning.
Oh, no.
So it is crazy how much it's rained recently.
It's been coming down, buddy.
Dude, like nonstop, too. So first of all, we actually never
Nonstop.
We actually never talked about this. We said we were going to. And maybe we'll get into it at the end. My flight to
I realized after the pod, I was like, I tried to talk, and you're like, let's do it at the end. And then
yeah. So my flight to Boston didn't end up in Boston. Got canceled 3 times because of rain. Told you guys about weather. No one wanted to listen. But so that storm aside, there was another, like, it felt like it rained for like 12 straight hours and like fairly hard. So I'm down in my basement. I'm working out, and I look, and my window is ground level, but there's like, I can't explain it. It's like a little thing, but regardless, there is water built up outside my window. But you know what happening? It wasn't coming in.
Oh, buddy.
It was dry as a bone by that freaking window. You want to know why? Because I have good windows.
Yep.
And I was sitting there while I was working out, outside of thinking I don't want to work out, but thinking, if I had bad windows, like, imagine how different my day would be. There'd be water coming in. I'd have to like call Kristen, who's on a trip, and be like, yo, we have a problem. Like, so here's the thing that I cannot emphasize more as I've learned more about windows throughout my life and through this Window Nation process. You have to be proactive about your windows. Like, you have to think about it. And when we met with the Window Nation rep, and you'll remember his name because I'm bad with names. Bill. When Bill came in, that's what he said. Like, Window Nation, what's great about them is when you meet with them, they can get you your windows quicker. You don't have to sit and then be like, all right, I'm going to wait 6 months. And then a month later, you're like, wow, I really need windows right now. They'll help you out with it.
And it's important to get in front with the winter coming. Like,
yes.
Like, it does take a few days for them to get out and get you the windows and do all that stuff. Once you order them and all that, like, get on it now because you want to make sure your windows are taken care of before it gets cold and gross and snowy.
I'm trying
and
to
all
think
that crap out.
of how freaking proud Kristen would be of me if I was proactive about fixing a window.
Oh
really,
my
any
God.
problem.
Yeah.
But a window, especially something household related.
Set for years.
I would be a different.
Hey! Remember when I fixed that window?
Different man in her eyes. But why else should you pick?
You'll be a man.
Yeah, that's the first step. Why else Window Nation? Save up to 50% with the purchase of House of Windows as interest and mortgage rates climb and continue to climb. And I love mortgage rates. I talk about them all the time to the point where Kristen's like, stop talking about them. It's embarrassing.
You love talking about it. I wouldn't say you're a big fan of
No.
mortgage
I
rates.
love to be like, so what's yours?
Yeah.
Window Nation
It's a good one. I got a good one.
Yeah.
Feel good about it.
Window Nation still keeping 0% interest for 2 years. And we all know, look, you hear about it all the time. The more windows you buy, the more you save. 50% off plus a lot more. Pay nothing for 2 full years. It's another amazing deal on windows that deliver more for your home. They consistently have great deals. I thought when we first started and they were showing some of the deals, I was like, this will be gone in a month.
Mm-hmm.
So call Window Nation. Go to windownation.com. Tell them Go Bird sent you. And they'll probably have a great deal for you.
Oh, they have all like insane deals.
Yes.
Honestly, I asked Bill when he was in, I'm like, how do you do these? It doesn't seem like you guys can be a business.
Math, man. Let me
that
tell you.
offers these kinds of deals.
Math
and
is
yet,
a wild thing.
And yet they do. Well said, man.
Yeah.
Some people say the world runs on it. All right.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Numbers.
Be a good final thought if you held
There
that.
you go. Yes. All right. Let's start with the injuries, and then we'll get to a big picture. Start of the game. Obviously, the Eagles banged up for this game. Garofalo tweeting out just a bit ago, looks like Kenny Gainwell will not be a go for this game. It looks like Bradbury, which is the least surprising with the concussion, back quickly, turnaround, not going to play in the game. Fletcher Cox looks like he might give it a go.
So I will say,
obviously, Nakobe is out. They're beat up a little bit. The Vikings also have some injuries. Their starting center is going to be out, which, coming off Jalen Carter's
big deal, absolutely.
Big time rookie performance.
Marcus Davenport might be out.
So
their second best edge
sides.
rusher.
Then again, a Thursday night game, so these teams, physically.
And their best tackle is dealing with an ankle injury. So the Vikings are banged up. Now we're recording this a Wednesday at 2:30. By the time you listen to it, the injury report will probably be out. So we'll have some of these answers. But to your point, I would not be surprised if Bradbury doesn't play. The really interesting one to me is Reed Blankenship.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot. I knew there was one I wasn't mentioning.
Yep.
So that didn't seem like a big deal. And then all of a sudden, it's like Garofalo's like, he might not be able to go.
If Reed doesn't play, they're in serious.
That's a problem.
They're in serious trouble because
he's like the only guy you.
He's
trust
the only
on
good
the
safety
back
they
end.
have right now.
The only good safety or linebacker. He's the only guy you trust
Right.
in that foursome, whatever that's going to be.
Right. If you were asked to power rank the safeties and the linebackers, Nakobe and Reed would have been
Reed.
1
Reed's
and 2.
number one.
Reed would have been number 1
just because he's proved it so
yes.
far. Or at least more.
So the Reed thing is really bad.
Yeah.
Going against a team, then we'll talk about it, like really
T.J.
good.
Hawkinson and Justin Jefferson and
Jordan Addison, like good passing team. So that's a major problem. I mean, I do think too, it's worth pointing out, this team is now dealing with more injuries than it felt like they dealt with last year. I know Chauncey missed time and Maddox missed time, but at that point they were already, 12-1 or whatever it was. Like you felt really good about where they were at. This feels like more of a pressing need type of situation, like urgency thing. So if it's not Reed,
well, Jordan Davis last year too, and they went out and got Sue and Joseph. So it didn't feel like it, but they did have an injury that hurt them, and they went and got someone.
So Reed,
when's he gonna go get someone? What are we doing here?
Well, at this point, it's maybe a linebacker. I don't think
Rashad
Reed,
Evans to the practice squad is not.
Yes, which is
really
a fine move.
Fine. But the fact that he's on a practice squad tells you what you need to know.
150 tackles last year, but
the fact that they elevated Moreau is like, okay, great.
Well, I'm surprised they did that, to be honest. I guess they had to with how like the machinations of the roster thing works. But
so you think Evans more likely to play than Moreau?
No. I think Justin Evans is going to start. I'm talking about the safeties.
Okay,
right now.
I was talking about the linebacker.
Okay, so what do you want to start with? You want safeties?
Okay. Well, Justin Evans played the whole.
Yeah.
He's definitely started.
But I didn't think he played well. Like in a world where Reed is healthy, I wonder if like they would have cut Justin Evans snaps. But now I think with Reed out, potentially you're going to play Evans.
It's Edmonds or Brown.
My guess is Edmonds.
It must be. I mean, Brown got 0 defensive snaps.
And the tough thing is, if they were playing the Patriots, I'd feel more comfortable putting Sidney Brown out there because I don't think the Patriots have a deep threat. I don't think they're going to test the safeties a ton. But like, I can picture a world vividly where Sidney Brown is playing. He's too aggressive on a play, and Jordan Addison's behind him. So that's the concern, I think, with the safeties. Yeah, I mean, there's no good option. Like, we can't sit here and be like, well, don't worry, they're going to put Terrell Edmonds in. And Terrell Edmonds is a fine player. He's had a good NFL career. He's more of an in-the-box safety. Justin Evans as your deep safety is a concern. Like, if they're going to play single high with him, I think that's a concern. It's a concern with Sidney. So they just don't have the personnel at safety right now. Like, there's no other way to say it. If Reed doesn't play, they're in a tough spot.
Well, the defensive line is going to have to dominate the game for them. Like, this is from a defensive perspective. Obviously, they have to score points. Like, we already talked about that.
Yeah, this one's on the offense.
This one's on the offense. You're going into this game saying the offense has to win this game, but if we're talking about the defensive side of the football, we just talked about those matchups. The Vikings offensive line, not good to begin with.
Yeah, good tackles, bad interior.
Very bad interior.
Really bad guards.
Yes, and now missing their starting center was easily the best of that trio in there.
Yes.
So we're talking
their backup center is bad.
Bad.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking like one of the worst in football.
Yeah.
And then you add in the fact that, like, the Eagles' strength last week, I know it
was the interior.
Was the interior. I mean, all these stats coming out, and forever football stats can be a little, it's like the get off time. It's like, all right,
only
like,
training camp.
We're talking about but we're talking about like he's 0.6 to 0.7 to 0.9. Like I can't conceptualize how much it matters, how they calculate it, all that stuff. Like I'm gonna even.
But the stats are wild.
It's worth, like Jalen Carter, Fletcher Cox, and Milton Williams with the 3 fastest tackles off the ball last
to have
week.
all 3 in the same team.
It's crazy,
insane.
and I thought Milton Williams played well. We didn't talk about him at all. Like, so I think between how good Jordan Davis looked, how great Jalen Carter looked, how good Fletcher Cox looked, especially late in the game, and how good Milton Williams looked, like defensively, like boys.
In the middle. This is their game.
Have to.
And a non-mobile quarterback in Kirk Cousins.
Who, if you get him off his spot, is in trouble.
100%.
So this is the matchup.
That's if the Eagles win the game, that's
defensively
one of the reasons they'll win it. The linebacker, I mean, you want to talk about your boy? How you feeling?
I'm devastated.
Yeah.
What do you want me to say? Like, I thought, look, I know there was some hits and misses in the first.
He was good against the run, bad against the pass.
Yeah, and I think he got, the size was an issue at certain times, but I also thought he was around the ball, like
Agreed.
always. Like
I
whenever
agree.
the ball was somewhere, like Nakobe was in on it. Like I thought as far as it goes for his first start, like it was fine. I was like encouraged with it. It's just a kick in the junk, man.
So here's my Nakobe
kick
take.
in the junk.
Yeah.
And here's what I'll say, like, and I still love the kid. Like I am certainly backing off my, just because I think that's a really tough injury for a kid who hasn't played a lot to come and play football again.
So this is what I was gonna say. I think this is a bigger deal for Nakobe than it is the Eagles.
I agree.
It sucks for the Eagles, but I think this super
100%.
sucks for Nakobe.
That's my point.
Yeah.
It's it really sucks for him. Like
didn't
I don't
play
know
his rookie year. Now he's gonna miss 4 weeks here,
and then he get back. Like
it's tough. I mean, it's a foot injury. Now he's not. Look, if there's one place his size is
huge,
gonna help
right?
him, you would think it wouldn't be as tough with the cardio, but. Yeah, I mean, it sucks for Nakobe.
It sucks.
And I agree. I didn't think, he wasn't, special, but he certainly, I didn't think, against the run, I mean, he graded out as their best run defender.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
And then as the pass, he was not as good. But Zach Cunningham was terrible against the pass, too. So I think it sucks mostly for Nakobe. He's going to miss the time. He's going to have to come back. I think they're going to give him his job back.
I think so, too. I think so too.
Look, in a world where, for some odd reason, Christian Ellis is awesome and Moreau
you never know what could happen.
But
so they go get somebody. Like how we might see this week and see the Vikings tear those dudes up and be like, all right, I'm getting
we're going to get someone. Right.
Like I'm giving up a 6th-round draft pick for this guy or whatever.
Yeah, I got to be more than that. But right. I agree with you.
I'm just saying, instead of just saying,
I doubt it would be more than a 6.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm saying I don't think it would be. I'm saying, but I would be fine giving something up instead of just signing random dudes off the street.
Yes, I think if they stick with the same people, their inclination is to give Nakobe his job back. But it just sucks for a young guy to lose a chance.
Like whatever else, everyone says, I've been Mr. Nakobe and all that, but forgetting it, whether you think he's
someone you want to root for.
Everyone should be rooting.
Yes,
for the kid.
and so I think it hurts the Eagles. I think this weekend, this Thursday, especially against the Vikings, it's not good. But let's be honest, Nakobe couldn't guard T.J. Hawkinson anyway, so it really didn't matter.
No.
But I just think it sucks for Nakobe.
Yeah, it really. I'm super bummed about it. Like it was honestly the single thing that makes me the saddest out of the Oakland performance. Period.
So my guess is they'll start Christian Ellis. They'll put Cunningham next to him. They'll bring Moreau's already been brought up, so he'll get snaps. Rashaan Evans, I don't think will be brought up.
Really?
Because they can
just
only
as an extra guy. I mean, though.
Well, so this is what's tough, and I'm okay with
Covey
it.
And Zibba,
yeah, you can only bring up 2.
I thought it was 3. It's 2. Oh, I thought it was.
So
3.
I thought it was 3 too. I looked it up and saw 2. I could be wrong.
I thought it was 3.
I did too, and I could be wrong about this, but I'm almost positive it's 2. So Siposs and Covey would be the ones that are elevated.
Sure.
Well, they were the only ones elevated.
They were
last
only
week.
ones last week, but I didn't know they might not have wanted to elevate someone else. I don't know.
So if you're gonna have your kick now, if it was up to me, I would not elevate Covey. And I would have Zacchaeus return punts, but they are going to. I would guess they're going to elevate Covey.
I think that's clear.
Unless they really think they need Evans, but that would be the decision to make.
Yeah. And look, there also maybe more potential to elevate guys with inactives, and you got a bunch of injuries, and maybe if guys, so it could change the math a little bit and all that. But yeah, so the Nakobe thing is frustrating, and I'm bummed about it. But
what about? I want to say I don't think he's like your boy. But what do you any more thoughts on Penny? Because Sirianni, I don't know if you heard.
I didn't.
Okay,
so
Sirianni was on with me and Giglio, and he was asked about it, and he said, well, for this week, Penny was running back number 4, and it wasn't like that's what he's going to be, blah blah blah. I thought it was noteworthy. He said that on their depth chart, Penny was number 4 currently.
No, it's interesting.
And it didn't seem like a matchup thing.
Look, we're going to see. He's going to play this week. It's a question of if he'll get on the field. If he doesn't get on the field this week, then that's a concern.
Yeah, well...
And look, again, I loved Penny as a signing. He's done nothing since being here that has blown me away.
But what's tough with the Penny thing is, all right, so they have 4 running backs. Boston Scott's going to be up every week because he returns kicks. Gainwell is going to be up because clearly they view him as their best running back. I don't think they would ever put Swift down as a healthy scratch, do you? I mean, they traded a 4th for him.
And Sirianni was like, 2 touches for DeAndre.
Right, we got to do more than that, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of just seems like Penny's the odd man out. Like, barring injury, which they're dealing with already on offense, I don't see how he gets up.
It might be, again, look.
Maybe they're short on a defensive lineman one time.
And again, we just don't know. Like, Sirianni is so cagey with all this stuff. Like, I originally thought maybe they were keeping Penny fresh for Thursday. I don't think that if he answered the question that way, but I thought maybe they were like, hey, you know what? We got a game on Thursday. Let's keep one of these guys down. Penny's not going to play as much because Gainwell's the guy. Like, let's keep him.
Well, he doesn't play special teams too, which is a big part of it.
Which hurts him. So I am, I'm not as, I love the Penny signing. I love the upside of it. But again, I need to see him do something.
And it's funny to see us take these kind of opposite sides now, because I was not high on the Penny signing, as we know. But I don't think Gainwell's better than Penny.
I don't know.
I think all these guys, in my opinion, all these guys are basically the same, except I think Swift is probably who I would put one.
But again, I think Swift he's so far and away the best pass catcher. But like, is he a good running back?
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know.
Well, and it's like they need to go get a running back if this is their plan.
So I saw you tweet about the Taylor thing, and last time we discussed this, we fought, and
I
didn't hate it. I saw your tweet, and my gut initial reaction when I saw it was like, you know what?
Yeah. I mean, if they're going to use a clear-cut number one.
At this point now, because now it's not a case of a holdout and a contract. Like, it's just go get the guy and have him play the rest of the season for you. Like, I don't think you have to give him a contract anymore.
I agree.
At this point. It's not the preseason. It's just go get this guy in here. He'll want to play and get a contract next season. Like, go get him. I'm fully in. But here's my question. All right, let me ask you this.
Ask me.
If you're going to trade a draft pick, are you trading one for that? Or are you trading one for a safety or linebacker?
Well, you know where I fall on this.
I know. Offense always.
Yeah.
But, like,
look, the linebacker safety thing's a concern. I would rather trade a 4th-round pick for Jonathan Taylor than Budda Baker. Like, to simplify it.
I think I would trade for Budda Baker of those two.
I'm more in on Budda Baker than I used to be completely honest.
Really good.
Well, and it's mostly like the safety.
Desperate need.
Yeah.
I think a bigger need than right. It just need, like, in terms of if you look at the player that he is replacing, talent level, like, I think there's a much wider gap between Budda Baker and Terrell Edmonds, whoever it is.
Let me ask you this.
Versus Jonathan Taylor and Kenny Gainwell.
So you're sitting here right now. Let's pretend you're Howie. You're in the office, and you have 2 deals on the table: a 4th for Taylor, a 3rd for Budda.
I'm trading for Budda.
No, I'm saying, would you do both? I mean, there's no reason you can't.
Super Bowl!
I'm just like I'm serious. Like,
yeah, I would consider.
Would you invest in those players?
They have an extra second for next year. You just had what you believe organizationally, and
that's a good point.
Could
a
be
super
a
strong
great
draft,
and thus maybe the draft capital less important than kind of building around this group. Yeah, I think I'd consider it for sure. Can you imagine if Howie traded like for Budda and JT?
I mean, people would go wild. Yeah, and the Budda thing. Look, I don't know if the relationship with Gannon
that's a good point. Yeah,
is going to help the negotiations there, but the need at safety is real. But the issue with Budda is I do think they're going to want Sidney on the field eventually, and if you have Budda and Reed, you're really blocking Sidney.
Yeah,
not only for this year, but for the future.
Well, because Budda got a new contract, right? So that.
Well, and also like you're not trading a 3rd for Budda if you're going to let him walk. Jonathan Taylor, at least you can say he's a running back. It's a 4th.
Yeah.
Like it's not ideal.
But can you imagine? They would be trading.
And you have nothing there for what it's worth.
They'd be trading 2 4ths this offseason for running backs, though, which is
that's a good point.
Howie.
That is a good point.
Not his style.
That's what's more surprising about the Swift thing. Is like,
they traded.
They traded something of substance, and they just.
But that's what makes me concerned about Swift is that he came in here with like
They must think he's a bad runner.
The job to lose.
They must think he's a bad runner.
That's my point. They must think he's a bad. Or he's a bad running back for their system or whatever.
Well, because like coaches will do the thing where they go like, "Oh, we don't know who's out there at running back. We just like cycle him." Like, no, man, you ran Kenny Gainwell like 14 times. Like, you very easily could have been like, "Oh, by the way, like get Kenny out."
Again, isn't that why Nick Sirianni doesn't call plays, right? So you can be on top of all these things. Seriously, right? Like,
I agree. That's a good point.
That's why he gave it all up.
Yes.
So if you're going to give it all up, then you need to be able to
Goddard
thing. You can't be like, I had no idea he was in the game. Yeah. You're not calling the plays, bro.
The Goddard thing is more circumstantial where, like, once the ball snapped, the coverage, who knows? Like, I can see a world where...
Yeah, Jalen didn't see him. Look, Jalen didn't have a good game. We can all say that. And I think the A.J. Brown... Again, I keep coming back to that A.J. Brown quote, and I think it was for Jalen. I think it was for the whole offense. A.J. Brown was like, Belichick threw stuff at us we hadn't seen. He's like, we were confused, is what he said. Like,
AJ
is brutally
I love him
honest.
being honest, but...
He needs to stop talking.
Well, no, like... I love it as a content creator.
Of course, but if I'm a player, I'm not a huge fan. Yeah. I mean, the dude said he knew we were going to lose in the Super Bowl. I mean, like, I'm with you. If I'm the Eagles, I'm like, hey, AJ, do us a favor.
We love you, buddy.
Just a little bit. Tighten up a little bit. But,
well, I'm sure that's how they felt about Sirianni saying the preseason thing.
But again, with this specific thing with AJ, like it hits me. Like I do think that like when I look back at that game, I think we have to really consider that I think they were confused from what they were seeing and stuff. And look, that has to come back on the coaching staff. Like, again, I think we felt it right after the game. And the further I get away from this, and I'm not concerned long term, but what did I say to you coming in when I was, I've been Mr. Rah-Rah and really positive, but I said if I had to pick one of these things One of the many issues that we talk about, the schedule, this, that could hurt this season. It's like the two coordinators thing, the coaching thing is the most real to me. Like that feels like that could be an issue.
I'm not.
And I don't know if it's the coordinators as much as Sirianni or whatever, but like the coaching was bad. Yeah. They got outcoached. By Bill Belichick and Bill O'Brien on Sunday. Period.
Both sides of the ball and the special teams. Yeah, like
outside of Jake Elliott
to have Reed run off. And then to have to burn a timeout and only have 10.
Two. Yeah. Did 2 times.
2 timeouts were burned on special teams.
I mean, that is like unacceptable. Like
I agree.
We used the word unforgivable for the fumble with Jalen on Sunday night. And I thought it was a little strong. But like, I think this is like unforgivable.
Yeah, because this
unacceptable.
This is way more within your control.
Exactly. Yeah. And again, this is like, that's sloppiness. That's like, that's the easiest part of coaching. Like the scheme, also like that's the hard stuff. Like
the subbing should be the easy part.
It's like we go back to the thing with the Ryan Kerrigan and who's the other one where it's like JJ or thinking Whiteside.
Yeah, where they line up in the right place.
He's lining up in the right place. Like, yeah, that's the baseline. You guys should be lining up in the right place with the right amount of players at the right time every bleeping time.
I agree,
man. And I know it's gonna happen. I know but for it to be that apparent week 1, like that I don't like that.
I agree. So. I agree they were outcoached. Now, again, to kind of come for a full circle, I guess we have to make our Vikings pick.
Yes.
But, like, the bigger concern for me was still how the players played, and it was not the coaching. Like, for that game, I was more concerned.
I would very disagree with that. I think the way the players played was in large part because they were not prepared from a coaching perspective.
Well, yes, it's all connected.
But but that's my point. Like, I don't think Jalen played horribly. I just don't think he knew what he was looking at a lot of times.
No, I'm just saying the offense, like,
Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata, you're saying, and I get that, but I think that's also part coaching. I think that's also the situations these guys were put in and not adjusting throughout the game and all that type of thing.
Yeah, you could be right.
So my biggest thing was coaching.
Well, Thursday night
against the Vikings, Kevin O'Connell led team, Kirk Cousins in prime time.
Yeah. So here's my concerns for the game.
Oh God.
I think it's a tough spot. I think the Vikings really need the win. They're the more desperate team. I think their strengths really add up and directly go to the Eagles' weaknesses. Like Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, tough when you only have one corner. The middle of the field, T.J. Hawkinson, like way better than Hunter Henry. Like the T.J. Hawkinson and Kirk Cousins duo is way better than Mac Jones, Hunter Henry, and Mike Gesicki.
Maybe.
Definitely.
I think Mac Jones is closer to Kirk, or certainly will be, but is closer to Kirk Cousins than you are making him out to be.
I was not impressed with him. Mac Jones throws the ball, but whatever. So I think the Vikings present some real problems. I think the defense is going to give up a lot of points. I think that, to your point, I think the way that their best coverage against Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison is Jalen Carter, Fletcher Cox, and Jordan Davis blowing it up. That's their best coverage. But if they don't, for whatever reason, then, and look, rookies are inconsistent, all those things. I think Kirk Cousins is going to have time in the pocket. I don't yet have faith that this offense, because of my concern with the offensive line, can win a shootout. They're not a team that's won shootouts, right? When it's like touchdown for touchdown. I think it's a tough spot. I think they're going to lose.
Horrible take.
I'm picking Vikings 30, Eagles 27.
Wow. I think the Vikings might be bad. Like
they might be.
They lost to the Tampa Bay Bucs.
They might be, but it's week 1.
And look, it's week 1. I agree. Yeah. I agree. Look, I get the matchup stuff and all that. The Vikings are going on the road on a Thursday night, coming to Philly, where there's been a house of horrors for the football team. Like sometimes, like we just talked about just a moment ago with the Cowboys and the Giants, like sometimes teams just have other teams' numbers.
Yeah.
And I think the Eagles have the Vikings number. I think they have Kirk Cousins' number. I think it's going to look a lot like last year. I don't think it'll be 24-7, but I think they win this game. Not handle, but I think it's like a 10-point win.
You know what's crazy about?
I'll go the Eagles win 30-20.
30-20.
Thursday night football.
What's crazy about the last year's game is 24-7. I remember it being a blowout, but they got 3 interceptions off Kirk Cousins. They held Jefferson to 7 yards. I'm surprised it wasn't more than 24.
Well, it could have been. They were up 24-7 early.
And they pulled.
They scored their.
I don't think there was a single point score by either team the entire second half.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So it was one of those. Look, the Eagles had a lot of those last year where they just kind of got a lead and kind of stood on it.
Yep.
And kind of hung out. And I think we saw a little bit in week 1 even. I think this team is used to getting out in front and kind of playing from the front and maybe not putting pedal to the metal, especially early in the season. And that's a different discussion. But Look, I do agree with the spot. You know, you're coming home. You had a tough win on the road. Yeah. It's a Thursday night. I do
short
think
week, 2 new
short
coordinators.
Week, a lot of injuries. As shown, I think that game was physical. Like that Patriots-Eagles games of
playing in the rain.
All the games that I watched in week 1, like Titans-Saints was very physical. Like there weren't that many games that felt like a real like physical football
that
game.
one looked like you were very tired at the end of it.
Eagles-Patriots was like that. So I do think that there's a tough spot coming home on a Thursday night and all that.
Injuries.
I just think the Vikings on the road on a Thursday night, Kirk Cousins with the bright lights, like it just happens too often for me to ignore it.
And the Eagles' injuries are big, but I think the Vikings' injuries are probably bigger. Like Bradbury's right there.
Yeah,
it's funny they're Bradbury and Bradbury.
Yeah, Bradbury.
Right.
But you know what it is? I think it's the combination of Bradbury and Blankenship that is the most concerning.
Yes,
for this specific game and this specific match, and that is
concerning.
With that. So, all right. We'll be back tomorrow with the pod. Obviously, pick every single game. We won't force you.
We're gonna win this
let
time.
Elliot pick this next one. You know, because we already know what it is. Oh, yeah, okay. Item covering goods. If they're a 7.5 point favorite in this game,
you see, it's down to 6.5.
It's down to 6.5.
It's moving,
because of the injuries.
Yeah,
it's not great. Well, it's still 6.5 point favorite.
It wouldn't surprise me if it got to like 4.5.
No way.
5.
It will not get that low.
Okay.
I'll bet you everything I have it doesn't get that low.
Well, I don't know if we should be betting.
I think it's gonna end at 7.
Okay.
That's
fair.
my guess. All right. Final thoughts, my friend.
Man, to be honest, I don't have one.
Wow,
dude, I'm telling you, like, so I feel like my life has been crazy hectic recently. Like in radio all the time. Like the Eagles, 2 games back to back. My flight got canceled. Going on vacation next week. It's just like I feel like every waking minute that I have, I'm like doing something, and I don't have as much time to like think of random observations. I could probably think of one if I really did, but I don't want to. I don't want to force it. You know, I want to make it up.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair. I'm a little disappointed in you.
I know. Hey, like I don't know what to tell you.
It's the regular season.
I've been studying all the Vikings. Like I don't know what to tell you.
Earmuffs 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Earmuffs 1, 2, 3. Fuck you to the piece of shit who stole my bike delivery out of my house yesterday. An electric bike for Emily to take Zoe to school every day.
Someone stole a bike off of. Hold on.
It got delivered to my house.
What time was this?
This was 10 minutes before I got home. It was like 10:45.
You don't normally get stuff delivered to your house. I don't.
And we talked a lot about whether we should do it to the house, but it was such a big package.
Right.
Fuck you dumb piece of shit! I hate you.
That sucks.
I'm so angry. Like I feel violated. Honestly, I feel violated.
I mean, I text you all the time with my packages.
I'm like, but this is like a multiple $1,000 package. All right,
yeah.
This is like not a fucking joke.
No, I agree. Right? Yeah, it's super sucks.
I'm furious. I'm so angry.
What do you do now?
I called the bike place. I'm waiting for them to get back to me. I'm gonna have to call MasterCard, which I bought it with, and hope that there's insurance for this. Like I don't know. Like I'm furious.
Did you get a notification?
I called the police. I had to wait for the police to come over.
Oh wow!
Find a police report. It's of course.
Yeah.
It's a couple grand.
Wish I could have helped. You know, I would have.
You were on the radio.
Oh yeah, good point.
I thought about it. I was hustling home, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I mean, look. It super sucks when packages
I'm
get delivered.
so mad. I hate you. I hope you're listening. I actually hope you're go so I can tell you to
I don't
stop
think they'd be a go
to stop listening. I hate you. I never want you to listen to anything I do ever again. And I want horrible things to happen to that person.
It
That's
sucks.
how I feel.
Stealing packages is
It's dark. It's dark. It is a dark.
Because also, like, you don't really know what's in there. Like, it's just annoying.
It could be like something for like someone's health. It could be something like there's like if you see a package, and not a huge bike, but you could see a package of someone's. It could be like medication for a person.
That's yes.
Like there's all kind. It could be a breathing monitor that people have to use because they have some sort of health issue. Like there's all this. It is a dark and
it's extremely grimy.
Up thing to
well,
do.
like so, this is a much smaller example. But like we got our initial wedding invitations last year stolen off our porch, and it's like, what do you really? I know you don't know what's in there, but that's the point. Like you just grab a box because you see it. Like, what are you really gonna do with those wedding invitations?
So,
other than maybe come to the wedding.
I'm livid.
Yeah, I mean, I would be very, very upset.
So, that's where I'm at. Yeah, I just had to use my final thought to tell that guy that.
Good earmuffs.
Yeah, the big time. Yeah, that's why I emphasize the earmuffs, and I apologize to all the parents out there. But sometimes some people need to be put in their place.
Yes.
I hate that person.
Producer
like
Tucker.
Soul.
Producer Tucker.
Yeah, I forgot they were on the YouTube. My bad, Todd.
His work cut out for him.
I am very sorry, buddy. This was on me.
Yeah.
I know, honestly, it's on the
yes.
POS who took my car.
It's not your
took
fault.
my bike. It's not my fault.
No.
But the cursing was my fault. I could have controlled it, but
we just lost a lot of ad revenue.
Yeah.
All right. I got to pick my daughter up. We'll be back tomorrow. Bet Parks Picks Pod will be 11 a.m. if you want to tune in
11,
on YouTube, around 11. So check us out then. Until then, he's Light him down.